Hey everyone, this is Saad again, and you are on the seventh course of our learning series, MECM. So today I'm going to discuss about configure Defender for endpoint. What is exactly the Defender as a product is, and how we can utilize it. And Defender itself is a big product that covers pretty much all the cloud areas. For example, Microsoft Defender for Office 365, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Cloud App Security, and Microsoft Defender for Identity. So basically, what's exactly the Defender is? So you can say like it's from the name itself, like Defender, right? Something it's actually defending you, being harmed, and it's protecting you. So basically, it's kind of like a Microsoft. It is Microsoft antivirus product, and that actually works with all three platforms. Actually, all four or five, pretty much all the platforms like mobile platform, Windows, iOS, Android servers, Mac OS, pretty much all the platforms. And Defender provides you the protection against the malicious and the harmful actors uh, that can hijack or compromise your device, your user identities, and steal your data. So it is actually a software piece of software that sits and resides in your device and constantly monitor and protect you from the malicious actors. And in this video, we are focused on Defender for Endpoint. Like I said, Defender itself is a huge product, covers pretty much all the areas. So we're not gonna get deep into the other areas, but since we are making an MECM series, I'm gonna focus on Defender for Endpoint. That means I will be focusing on the devices side. And in this scenario, I'm not gonna touch the Windows device, but I will be showing you the iOS and most likely the Android device as well. Okay, so Microsoft 365 Defender, four areas. Microsoft Defender for O365, generally the product associated with Office 365, like SharePoint, O365, what comes under the Office 365 umbrella. And Microsoft Defender for Endpoint is specifically designed to integrate with Microsoft Intune to take care of your devices managed through your MDM. In this case, it will be Microsoft Intune MDM. Microsoft Cloud App Security, more focused towards protecting your applications. And Microsoft Defender for Identity, more focused towards your identities like users, objects, groups, etc. So we are focused on Microsoft Defender for Endpoint in this module. Microsoft Defender Advanced Threat Protection, basically it works with these 7 pillars. If you are from the security team, you may know the in-depth detail and definition of each of this pillar. I will not go into all these pillars, but some of them are self-explanatory and very common these days. So for example, threat and vulnerability management, attack surface reduction, next generation antivirus, endpoint protection and response, auto investigation and remediation. This is a really good one. Like when it gets alert, it on a machine learning program and big data, it analyze your alert type and resolve by itself. So your help desk is more focused on their other tasks than to resolving these security alerts. Microsoft Threat Experts and Management and API. These are the 7 pillars behind the scene. So in the agenda of the topic here is I actually put it together. Let me do that. So I will show you how to integrate the Defender for Endpoint with Microsoft Intune. That's a point number 1. And then I will show you how to create a device configuration profile. Basically, before that, I will show you how to onboard the defenders, how to onboard Defender for Endpoint. Okay. and then we will create a device configuration profile, and then we'll create a compliance policies to assess the risk level, and then we'll use the conditional access policy to block access. As you know, the compliance policy does not do any action. It is just to decide whether you are compliant or not. But the conditional policy is a powerful tool to make an action on top of the compliance policy. So these are the 5 bullet points we will be focused on. So by the end of this video, you will be familiar with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. You will be familiar with how to onboard the devices with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and then you will know like how to manage those Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And on top of it, you will make sure that the Defender for Endpoint is present in your device. If not, then the device will show as non-compliant. And if the device come across any security any compromised behavior, for example, the device reports as the suspicious activities happening inside the device, the company assets will be blocked on that device. I will not be show you how to do that because I couldn't find a way to actually simulate my device to have a virus in my device. So and there is no way I can do it for mobile devices. You can do it for Windows, and you can somehow do it in Android to go to the web page and the web page will block. But for iOS, there is no way I can produce like a fictitious virus in my device. But anyway, I will show you the entire process, and when you put it together in your lab or maybe in dev environment, then you let me know how it works. Okay, so let's get the ball rolling here. So there are two places to enable the Windows Defender for Endpoint. But let me just start over. Let me bring my other Google Chrome page here. Okay, so let's start with the licensing. So you have to have a Defender for Endpoint licensing plan. Okay, if you don't, it won't work, but you can sign up for the trial. Okay. So if you set a Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, iOS offers protection against phishing and unsafe network connection from website, emails, and apps. Basically, behind the scene, what happened is it actually creates its own VPN, and all the traffic routes through the secure channel. So basically, any outgoing traffic is protected. Basically, it's like an end-to-end encrypted tunnel, leaving the device and going through the VPN, and through that tunnel, all the traffic is scanned, and if there is any harmful virus stealing your data during the process, it will be blocked. Pretty cool stuff. All alerts will be available through a single pane of glass in Microsoft Defender portal. That's just like a centralized repository to check all your alerts. Okay. Prerequisites. So for end user, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint license assigned to the user. So you make sure that the license is assigned to that specific user. And I haven't tested properly, but we're gonna just work in this video together to see if I run into challenges, we will troubleshoot it. So that's how we learn. I haven't done the entire process ahead of time for this video specifically. So I'm just hopeful that we will not run into more issues and this video will be smooth. Okay, this is from the end user side. So basically, let's take care of the end user side first, right? So let me pick up one of my users. So for this demo purposes, I will be using 2 users because I have 2 devices. Demo user 54 and help 01. So these are my 2 users I'll be using. All right. So let me go to the portal. Let me check the licenses. Let's check from O365 portal. You can also check from the Azure AD portal as well. So basically I have 365 E5 developer license, so that would cover, because I have 61 services enabled. That should cover for Defender for endpoint as well. So if you go back to that page, you have to have Defender for endpoint plan 1, plan 2, one of those, right? So let me see here. Here, Microsoft 365 Defender. So basically I have a license that covers everything, not just for endpoint security. So 365 E5 Defender without video and audio conferencing. Okay, cool. Is there any search? Oh, what is that? Microsoft 365 Defender. Oh, it's a separate licensing SKU here. Very good. Okay, so it's called 365 E5 Developer. Developer. Let me check one more time here. Here. Oops, I don't need to uncheck this. Okay, perfect. So basically I have the license, which is Microsoft 365 E5 developer, but that's without Windows and without Windows and audio conferencing, which is okay. So any service that I'm using is coming without Windows and audio conferencing, but long story short, this is my license required to protect my devices by using Microsoft Defender. So that was the point number one. From the end user side, what devices I have to have a devices enrolled in Intune. So I do have Android and iOS devices as well. So if I show you here in my Intune portal, so when I go, so this is how you go to Intune portal, endpoint.microsoft.com. When you go to devices, so I do have iOS devices. The one is corporate, the other one is personal. So help 01 and demo 54. And let me check the Android device. Looks like I have one. Yes, so I have one personal device as well, which is Android personally owned with work profile and logged in with help 01 account. So very good. And I do have Windows devices as well, but Windows Defender for endpoint for Windows itself is a big topic. This video will be extremely long if I had this in this video, but we just gonna focus on iOS and Android in this video. But I'll give you a little touch how Windows work. Okay, so if we just do for end user, we met the prerequisite. For enrolled devices, yes, we met the prerequisite as well. Into company portal. For unenrolled devices, we're not going to work on a scenario which is like a MEM without enrollment, but you can do that as well by using app protection policy. If you know, sorry about that. If you know, if you want to understand how the memory devices work, check my other video I posted the other day, like without enrolled devices. So that's for end user and the devices side. For administrator side, so you have to have access to the Endpoint Defender portal that I'm going to show you how to do that, and deploy apps to enroll devices, user group. So you have to deploy the applications. And this is important. So iOS device running 12.0 and above, right? So you have to have at least a 12.0, but if you look at that note that's starting 31st March 2022, that already passed. The minimum supported iOS version by Microsoft Defender for Android will be iOS 13.0. So I think I have devices on 14.0 or 15, both the devices. So I'm good there. So I met the prerequisites over there. So that was for the iOS. So pretty simple. So if I have to lay out here just to keep things clean, prereq for iOS. License for vendor for endpoint. Okay, license for Defender for Endpoint, um, iOS devices, enroll, Intune, admin access to the Defender admin portal, admin access to Defender admin. So this is all you need, and the one last is minimum version, minimum iOS version for iOS devices must be on iOS 13.0 and higher. Okay, so we have all these four things sorted out. Okay, perfect. That was a prerequisite for me to start this video. So luckily I have all four prerequisites met. Very good. So let's get back to the article here. And I have this demo users sorted out as well. Okay. All right, I will go ahead and close this page because the more pages I have, I'll get more confused here. So okay, so deploy Defender for Endpoint for iOS for unenrolled devices. So I will just keep this article in the back of my pocket, and if we get a chance, we'll work on this article as well, right? That's to-do task. Unenrolled devices. Oops. Okay, very good. So we're gonna work on this task if we still have a time. So let's get back to our primary agenda today. So I'll close this. Okay, so I will close this as well. Response closed. Okay, perfect. So this is the primary article I'm going to work on. So enforce compliance for Microsoft Defender Endpoint with conditional access in Intune. So before we get to this article, we have to configure the Defender for Endpoint. So how do you configure the Defender for Endpoint? So basically these are the steps here. So I will put the steps together here and we'll make it as a to-do task here. So demo user prerequisite, security baseline, not for us. Okay, yeah. Agenda. Okay, perfect. So enable Microsoft Defender for Endpoint for your tenant. So let's work on the very first task. So basically, I'm assuming that you don't have anything configured for Endpoint for Defender. Again, keep in mind that I am only working on this module, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. However, the Defender does offer you more than this. So since I'm focused on in this course for mobility and endpoint management, so I'm working on Defender for Endpoint. Let's get back to the agenda first. Enable Microsoft Defender for Endpoint for your tenant. So there are two places you enable the endpoint for Defender. The number one is in the Defender portal itself. Okay. Another is in Microsoft Intune. So very first thing is you have to integrate the Defender. So let me take you to the Microsoft Defender portal. So Microsoft Defender portal is basically when you go to security dot, before it used to be like Windows Defender something, I forgot the name, but now it's called security.microsoft.com. Pretty simple. So when you go to the security.microsoft.com, all the security related features, you will find it here. So this is the place generally for your security team, if they have access to this portal. So they will be able to deal with all these type of good security stuff. For example, endpoint, email collaboration, things like that. But since I'm only focused on Defender for Endpoint, I'm going to click on the settings. I'll show you here. So step number 1, security.microsoft.com. Step number 2, look for the settings here all the way to the bottom. And you click on settings. The portal will ask you which settings you want to work with. So since I'm working on endpoint for Defender for Endpoint, so I'll click on endpoint. Don't get confused between Microsoft 365 Defender and endpoint. So and Microsoft 365 Defender is basically just show you like the email notification and preview feature is just like a big default settings. So when I click on the endpoints here, so security settings and endpoint, when I click on endpoint here, you have to go to the advanced features. So under the advanced features, this is the place you actually make decisions like automated investigation. So these are the 7 pillars. Some of the pillars you will find here, the one I was showing you in my OneNote, the 7 pillars. Some of these settings you can check here. Live response for servers. I have pretty much everything enabled. This is important. Enable EDR in block mode. So if you want to first check with your security team what do you have in security baseline in Intune, and check if the EDR is blocked or not. Recommended to be blocked. Automatically resolve alert. So the one I am focused on and the one I wanted to show you is with Microsoft Intune. So I'm looking for that one. I think I missed it somewhere. Where did it go? Here. So Microsoft Intune connection. So this was turned off. So I turn it on, and it's what it says, like connects to Microsoft Intune to enable sharing of device information and enhance policy enforcement. So Intune provides additional information about managed devices for secure score. It can use risk information to enforce conditional access and other security policies. So basically what it's saying is expand your Defender umbrella towards your Intune and the devices managed by the Intune. So now the Defender is authorized to talk to Microsoft Intune, and the Intune is also authorized to talk to Defender. So basically, keep in mind, Defender itself is not an Intune service. It's a different product. So basically, you are integrating 2 different products. So in our case, Defender for Endpoint is integrating with Microsoft Intune. I wish it was pre-baked in Microsoft Intune, but it's kind of make more sense to keep it separate and to enable the integration between the 2 products. So that's one place to enable. The step number 1, to enable Microsoft Intune connection. And you have to have at least the global admin or the security admin to do that. I haven't checked on the RBAC permission, but that's my guesses, but I will double check in case I'm wrong. Okay, so security.com, settings, then endpoints, and then advanced features, and then Microsoft Intune connection. So I have it enabled, good. You can also work on auto remediation, email notification, but that's outside the scope of this course. Okay, the second place to enable is under the Microsoft Intune portal. So you are pretty much familiar with this portal by now, which is Microsoft Intune portal. So you go to endpoint.microsoft.com. You click on endpoint security here. So under endpoint security, all the way to the bottom, you see like setup. So Microsoft Defender for endpoint setup. So when you click on Microsoft Defender for endpoint setup, this is where you enable the endpoint. Generally it's off, it's not enabled, right? And everything is pretty much off here like this. right? So it was off, so I enable it here. So what I did, when you enable it, it creates a connector between the two product, right? And before you do that, you make sure that it's enabled from the Defender for endpoint side as well. So this is the second place to do, and it will show you the sync status. So I have enabled this, is turn it on, connect Android devices, MDM compliance policy settings. So once you enable it, you will have multiple areas to decide which other options you want to enable. So this is like a primary setting, allow Microsoft Defender for endpoint to enforce security configuration. I have it enabled. Now let's work on the compliance policies. So connect Android devices to Microsoft Defender for endpoint. So I checked it to enable, and then I checked it to enable for Android, for iOS, and for Windows. All three platforms are enabled. Block unsupported OS version. So basically, if you check the list of the minimum OS version, for example, in iOS, it's like 13.0, and Windows, there is some, and the Android is some, but if you enable it, and if you are running the older devices, they will be blocked, but I just leave it off. App protection policies. So we took care of the compliance policies. Basically, what I am saying is, yes, I can create a compliance policies for Defender for endpoint, and I'll show you when we go to the next step to show how where the compliance policies and how does it look like. But these are just like a one-time configuration and like a mandatory configuration before you enable Defender for endpoint in your organization. App protection settings. So connect Android devices to Microsoft Defender for endpoint for app protection evaluation. Yes and yes. iOS and app both. It does not provide for Windows. App protection policies are for mobile devices. So I did that. I left it on, turn it on basically, and common shared settings. So number of days until partner is unresponsive. So basically what it's saying that number of days of inactivity before Intune considers the partner to be unresponsive because the connection is lost. Intune will ignore compliance states of unresponsive partner. So basically, if your connector is lost and your connection is not green here, until 15 days, your devices will still be marked as compliance, right? And after that, they will be marked as non-compliant. So it is important to make sure this number is correct and you can afford to have that downtime for that many days. Open Microsoft. So basically, if you click on this, it will take you to the same security portal homepage, and it's just the same thing. And you go to the settings and endpoint, you will see all that good stuff here. Okay, and this portal will replicate the devices, how many devices you have onboarded for your Microsoft Defender for endpoint, right? And you click on this, it will give you some more historical data here. Let me show you where did I click. So there are two places underneath of this donut chart. One is to create a configuration policies. This is for Windows. I'm not going to focus on Windows, but this is where you create a configuration profile for Windows. Pretty simple. Block sample sharing for all files, blah, blah, blah. And when you click, I already have this policy. Another is list of devices without Defender for endpoint sensor. So it will show you the list of most likely the Windows devices here. Okay, so it does not bring any this data is in the live view. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Defender does keep like a 60 days of the data. So if you look at the data retention here, so 180 days maximum. So the Defender will keep the data repository for all the harm and damage happen in last 180 days. All the alerts, you will be able to retrieve it for last 180 days. This is the licenses and email notification, blah, 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 advanced rule. This is just outside the scope. Okay, so if you go back to the notepad, let's check what we have. Enable Microsoft Defender for endpoint. So we have enabled the Microsoft Endpoint Defender, and just to summarize, it must be enabled in two places. The one is security.microsoft.com. Other one is endpoint.microsoft.com, which is our Intune tenant. Second option, second step is to onboard devices that run the Android, iOS, iPad, and Windows 10, 11. I'm not going to focus on Windows devices in this window, but we'll see like if we can deploy the agent for iOS and Android devices. So let's work on that. Okay, so I do have a devices here. I have two iOS devices. The one is enrolled as Apple Business Manager, which is corporate, and other one is enrolled as personal by using company portal app. So let me create two security groups here, and basically to put the devices down to those groups. So I'll just create Defender iOS devices. Second, I think I lost access to my server. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm not sure what happened, but I got back to my server. So Defender, I would say Defender iOS devices. I'll create two groups and copy this device here and add the device. Since it's my small setup, I'll just add it manually. My first device, my second device is this one. I'll add both. I don't know which one is which. So, well, let me check the ID ending with 273. BA1. So this is the one, it's the right one. We'll remove this one. BA1. Okay, perfect. I got the group for iOS devices for Defender. Defender, I should say like Defender for endpoint. Okay. Defender for endpoint, and I was saying Android devices. And let me get back to my Android devices here. Okay, perfect. So I got the Android devices. Just to be on the safe side, I'll create another group. I'll call it Defender for endpoint. I'll call it user group. So I have two users. I'll add both the users here. Members, demo 54, user account, and I'll add help 01. Okay, perfect. So we have the groups ready, right? So I'll just security groups. Security groups. And I have iOS device security group, Android device security group for Defender just to be more clear, you know. And user security user security for Defender. So we got that done. Perfect. So we got the security group set up. And now it's time to onboard the devices. So the onboarding method is pretty simple. So what we would do here is I have two types of iOS devices. Okay. So if you go in the devices, I have the one coming from the Apple Business Manager. The other one is just, you know, like the personal devices. So I like to show you how to do it for both devices. So since Apple Business Manager devices will accept the apps coming from the Apple Business Manager called Volume Licensing Apps. So if I go in under the app section, iOS section, this is what I'm talking about. iOS Volume Purchase app. So I'll show you how to do that. I made a video on Apple Business Manager, but I have to cover, and I'm gonna make the second part of that video, how to create an enrollment program token and how to create a volume purchase connectivity so the apps can synchronize. So let's go to the Apple Business Manager portal here. So this is the Apple Business Manager portal. And what you have to do is, I just purchased an app. You have to type Microsoft Defender. Okay, so it will show up. Don't pay attention to the stars and the reviews. That's the Apple Store. I purchased 500 applications and 2 are in use. And this is a free app. You can just put the quantity here. So let's say like I put another 50 quantity here, right? And you make sure you choose the right location. I was going to add 50 in this 490 and 548, right? So I had already purchased the Microsoft Defender app here in Apple Business Manager. All I have to do is go into the Microsoft Intune under the tenant administration, connector and tokens, and it's called Apple VPP token. So when you click on Apple VPP token, it will let you sync. When you sync it, right? This is my Apple VPP token, Intune Apple VPP token. Once you sync it, it will retrieve the application information over to the Microsoft Intune. So when you go in app, when you type, and then it send Defender for Endpoint. So I have 2 Defender for Endpoint. The one is this one. It's called Microsoft Defender, and it's coming from the iOS Volume Purchase Program app, right? Another one is Microsoft iOS app, which is just the regular app, like a built-in app. So let me delete this one and show you how to add. we don't need this one. Okay, so we just need this one in case if you don't want to use the VPP app, so you can just go to the built-in app, select for Defender, and then you can add the Defender here, iOS and Android. By the way, I need an Android one as well, so I'll just go ahead and add for Android right now. Okay, so that means you added the Defender in your application repository in Intune. Very cool. So I have this app here. Let's go to the assignment. And then right now I just did a not the ideal thing, all devices, all users, but in your case you don't want to do that. But I will go ahead and add the group anyway, which iOS. What was the group name? Defender maybe? Yes. Defender for iOS devices. I'll just add the user group as well and hit save. Okay, and I will do the same thing for Android one as well. I think I lost connection to my server again. Just a second. Okay, I'm back here. Alright, so let's go back to the apps here and let's click on Android one. Let's check the Defender. Okay, I'll delete one because for some reason it shows both. I'll click on this apps. I'll go ahead and deploy this app. So I can do Defender for Android devices, and just for the safe side I'll do the user group as well. Perfect. So I have the devices with me here, and I'll just wait a few minutes to make sure the app is deployed. And let me pause the video and we'll try to bring up the device on the screen so you guys can see my device. So as you can see that this is one of my iOS test device enrolled as Microsoft Apple Business Manager as a corporate device. So if I show you here real quick, if I see the check status, currently it shows as compliant. The thing I wanted to show you is the MS Defender for Endpoint, right? So this, let me delete the app and let me see if the app comes down again, and I'll show you how does it look like when installed first time. Okay, here, so it's installing right now. Perfect. So the app is installed. Let me launch the app. I'm going to use my same account, help01. I would accept this terms and conditions. Okay, so what it says, allow Microsoft Defender to set up a local VPN connection. So this is a local loopback VPN, and unlike traditional VPN, it does not take network traffic off your device. So the VPN creates a safer browsing. So basically it's gonna do like 127.0.0.1. Basically it's gonna loop back within your local device. It's not taking your data some other servers like cloud server where the VPN server is set up. So it's pretty safe. At least this is what the text says. Allow and enter the code of your iPhone, and then I would say okay, that's fine, allow. So okay, there you go. So now the Defender is set up. Very first thing what it picks up, I really like about this is the device health. So one of the parameter it has to calculate the device health is the device must be on the latest iOS. So that, as you can see, like the latest iOS is 15.4.1, even though I'm on 15.4, which is like a 1 month old. But it still says like it's not healthy. You have to update the device. So that's very good, because sometimes in your settings, if you don't have a iOS update will automatically download and install, you will totally forget and you are like 6 months or a year behind. If I show you here under settings, general software update. So I do have this one available. I'm not gonna do it right now. It's gonna take some time, but that's one of the thing it picked up, which I really liked about. Another thing is web protection. So it will protect your data when you and make sure that your browsing is safe. So I love this feature. And you see like 18 links is scanned in last 24 hours. Anytime you go online, make sure that your traffic is going through a secure channel and you're not sending any unnecessary data out of your device. So that's another thing. Another thing I wanted to show you here is when you go to the general VPN device management, you see like it created a VPN and it's all connected. So the VPN is connected. So basically you're on VPN. And if you see like a loopback, so you see the server, you are the server. So 127.0.01. And blah, 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 connection time, all that kind of good stuff here. So it's a loopback here. Okay. So it is on VPN. So basically you have the Defender onboarded on one of the device. Let me see if I can show you my other device, which is BYOD, and then I will show you my Android device as well. Alright, so I have my another device, which is logged in as demo54. That's a BYOD user. And if I show you here, I have the Defender for Endpoint loaded and installed. And another thing is, let's verify a few things here. So general device management, VPN is connected and the device is enrolled as well. And you see like a little VPN sign on top of this, so that means the device is connected here. So very good. I do have I have onboarded my devices, my iOS mobile devices. And let me see if the Defender is deployed on my Android device. So this is my Android device. I'm still waiting. My Defender is not onboarded so far. So as you can see that it has a personal and it has a work profile. So all of these apps are personal. I know the work profile. Okay. So I'm just waiting. It should show up under my work side of house, not the personal. Just waiting to see. Let me go. Something happened here. Let me launch a company portal app here. See the password. 1 second. Basically, I'm just syncing my device here, making sure I can speed up the process. Get back to the Android device. Defender apps, Android Defender. Devices. Let me check the manage app section. Nothing so far. Okay, have to wait. Sync the device here. We go ahead and restart the device. Actually, it's a personal device, so I have limited set of options available. I don't have this app in company store. Go to the personal store. The app is here, but I don't want to download directly from the App Store. I'm waiting to be deployed by Microsoft Intune. So now I just waited for 5 to 6 minutes and the app still hasn't been deployed. So what I'm going to do here is I'll go ahead and open up the Manage Google Play Store. I will deploy the Manage Google Play Store app here. Defender. I'll go ahead and hit approve here. In order to approve the Microsoft company, I have to sign in. 1 second. Okay, so I was able to sign in and I'm looking for a Defender app and I approve. Okay, so I hit done. So the app is approved. That should show up under my managed apps now. So Defender is here. Good. I'll go ahead and sync it. Save and sync. The app should be available under my Android applications repository. Defender, yes. Manage Google Play App Stores. So I'll go ahead and require the app. Also say all use all devices. I don't want to add those groups as well, just in case. Android users. Okay, very good. I'll go to devices here. Click on the device. Manage the apps here. There it is. So now it's showing up. So let me see if I can connect. 1 second. Okay. Let's wait. Go ahead and hit sync here, just in case. I'll wait to see the Defender here. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and hit sync. I'll keep an eye on it here as well. Required install. Go to the app itself. Android Defender. Here it is. So it's just showed up. And I'm gonna launch my Defender here. Come on. Okay. Picked up my account. I'll go ahead and log in with my account here. Let me put the password. Okay, enter the password. Okay, welcome to Microsoft Defender. Okay, accept. Okay, so this is slightly different. As Microsoft Defender needs access to few permissions to protect your device. Storage, to access your storage and device to help detect and remove malicious and unwanted apps. Okay, good. VPN setup, which is common. Display over other apps, perfect. So this is even much better than iOS. And permanent protection, very good. So I'll go ahead, I'm not hesitant to give permission because I trust this app and this is what it's supposed to do. So when I hit begin here, just allow Microsoft Defender access photos, medias and files on your devices. So this is the time you want to make a decision here, but allow. Connection request. Microsoft Defender is requesting permission to set up a VPN connection. Okay, that is good. Hit OK. Perfect. Stop optimizing battery. Okay, I don't care about this, so I'll just allow. So now it's scanning my device. Okay, so no threats found so far. VPN. So you see that little thing here. This is, I think this is it. I'm not an Android fanboy, but I'll try to see if I can show you some additional features here. I believe this is the one showing you the Defender here. So apps is scanned, perfect, very good. App security, scan now. You can even scan anytime you want. This is even much better than iOS app. Honestly, I like this better than iOS. And web protection, it's enabled, very good. So the web protection is enabled as well. So it will protect you from phishing attack, web protection, and then against the fish. Okay, got it. And this is your dashboard. Perfect. So app security and web protection, two common features are offered by this app. Let me drill down in the settings about the VPN. So I have no idea how to get into the settings for the VPN, but let me try. Oops, what is that? Okay, I had to spend 1 or 2 minutes to figure out just to get into the VPN in Android. I'm sorry. So I just wanted to show you, I wanted to prove you that the VPN connection is established. So when I get into the settings here under the Android, and when you go to the connections and more connection settings under VPN, and there is a Defender connected. Always on VPN is not checked, so you can do that, and your device at risk. So as soon as you actually make changes, it will select your device at risk. So this is Defender here. It's protected. Okay, very good. So we worked on the second step. The devices are onboarded with the Defender. We are good to go. I'm not gonna do it for Windows because that's a massive topic itself. But if I get a chance, I'll make a part 2 of this video. Okay, let's get back to our OneNote here. Step number 2 is completed for Android and iOS. Okay, use compliance policies to set the device risk level. So the number 3 step is the compliance policy. Okay, so compliance policy, let's go to the Intune because the device is enrolled and the device is onboarded with Defender for Endpoint. So let's work on the compliance policies now. Okay, before we actually go to the third step number 3, I wanted to show you one quick thing here. just out of curiosity. So if you're familiar with the conditional access policies, as soon as you enable the Defender on your in your environment, you will see the classic conditional access policy. So if I exactly show you what I'm talking about, this is official document. So if you read this bullet point, when you integrate a new application to Microsoft Intune, into mobile threat defense, um, and enable the connection to Intune, Intune creates a classic conditional access policies in Azure Active Directory. Each Microsoft um, threat defense app you integrate, including Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, or any additional MTD partner creates new classic additional policies. So basically what it's trying to say here is any MTD Microsoft Threat Defense solution, in our case we're using Defender for Endpoint, when you enable or integrate with Intune, it will create a classic policy. If the classic policy is deleted, you will need to delete the connection to Intune that was responsible for its creation and set it up again from the scratch. So basically what it's saying is, do not touch that classic policy. If you touch it, it will be, your setup will be messed up and you have to start over to start from the integration. And how does the classics policy look like? So I'll show you real quick. So you go to the devices conditional access policy tab here. So these are all your modern policies. So if I show you here real quick, the classic policies here. So I enable the Defender and you see like a classic policy is already. So I don't want to disable or delete this. Otherwise my connection will be lost and I have to recreate over. So basically it's assigned to all users, completely unharmed to your environment. You can just you can select group, you can do all users, but this is what you can do here if we are hesitant to apply to all users. But I would go for all users here, and the cloud app is Defender for Endpoint. Under the access control policy is enable client apps, mobile apps and desktop apps, okay, and included device platform none. So technically all cloud application is only targeting, this policy is only being targeted to the Defender ATP, and there is no such action like grant or other type of action. So this is what I wanted to show you. It's under the classic policy. Do not try to migrate, do not try to delete or disable this policy after the connection is established. Okay, let's go to the step number 3, which is compliance policy. So go in here, devices, iOS apps, and the compliance policy. I did create one for my testing, but I'll just show you which one. So iOS compliance policies for Defender for Endpoint. So when you click on this, and so these are the settings, not very fancy, but I will show you. Only few options available in iOS compliance policy, but what I am doing here is this compliance policy is specially designed for my Defender for MDT purposes, Microsoft Threat Defense solution. So I'm not going to do additional items, for example, like to enable to set up email on device. This is different set of settings. This is not my primary objective for this compliance policy. So I left it default. However, I just did like a jailbroken devices to set to block, because when you create the policy it's set to not configured. So I set it to block. That's the only configuration I set outside the Defender for Endpoints. So this under the email, I did not do anything. Under the device help, what I did is select block, and then I chose my level is medium. Well, I would go ahead and go with the secured one. So require the threat to be under the device level. So select the maximum allowed device threat level for devices evaluated by your connected threat defense services. Devices which exceeds this threat level get marked as non-compliant. So basically what it's saying is this is the minimum level of the device. So if you go with low, so this is the most secured one. This is the second most secured one. This is the third most secure, and this high is the less secure one. Okay, you might be thinking why low is more secure and why high is less secure. So if you look at this verbiage conceptually, like require the device to be at or under the device threat level. So if your device level is low, threat level is low, not the threat level is low, that means the device is already secured. If your device's threat level is high, that means your device is in a severe compromised stage. That's where the defender will mark as non-compliant. That's where the compliance policy will mark as non-compliant. So that means the damage has already been done, right? So either you go with secured or low. Low means, like, let's say, like if the user is just going in a website but it did not harm the device, but it did click that yes, the device crossed the boundaries. Okay, so I would either go with secure or the low. So I'll just select a secure here. Device properties, I'm not interested to do any configuration for this for MDT purposes in this policy, so I will leave it default. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. This is the one I was talking about. So when you click on this, these are the rules. I'm not gonna require the device to be at or under the machine risk. So I would say the most secure one is clear, or even the low one. So go with one of those. So I would keep the clear one. So my devices are always clear from any security. So system security, these are generally for like Apple Business Manager devices. I'm not gonna make any changes in here. So basically what I did here in the two section, this is my primary section, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and this is for my jailbroken section. So when I hit save here, and that was the compliance setting tab, and under the action for non-compliant is immediately, right? And so it's the default setting and I apply to all users, right? So if I show you as a brand new policy, just in case you are clear and you're not confused, because I show you in the pieces. So test 01, I only work on these two options, device health and Microsoft Defender. So you may want to do like jailbroken, go with the secured and go with the clear and hit next. Default, mark device as non-compliant immediately, and if you want to do more options like remotely lock the non-compliant device, send push notification to end user, this is the good one. Send email to end users, retire non-compliant device, this is not, I wouldn't do because it will completely retire. And basically these are the actions, like immediate actions after the device is not compliant. So I'll go with this one. Scope tags and assignments, not much. So pretty simple and self-explanatory. So we have the compliance policy set up and we call it iOS device compliance policy for Defender. Let's set up the same policy for Android one. So devices, Android, compliance policies. Android Enterprise. Personally owned work profile I have set up, right? This is the one, let me double check. Devices, Android. Yes, I have personally owned work profile. Create. I'll call it Defender for Endpoint. Android compliance policy. Android compliance. Defender for Endpoint. Okay, Android compliance policy for Defender for Endpoint. About threat defense solution, MTD. Okay, so let's explore the options. Defender for Endpoint, I will go with the clear. Device health, rooted device, basically like a jailbroken, rebranded, the word has rooted. Require the device to be under, I would go with secured one. Google Play Protect, I would ignore all those settings. Device properties, not interested. System security, not interested. Okay, that's it. Hit next. Action, I will just keep the same action here. Next. Also like all users. Yeah. You can even do the filtration here under the user. Let's say if you have multiple set of users, you select all users and only select the one you want to. Not many filters available, but some of them are really cool filter here you can play with. So hit next, create. Okay, I'll wait for this compliance policy to reach out to my device. So let's go to my devices here. Since we already deployed the iOS device, make sure my compliance policies and iOS devices. Let's go to the compliance policy here. Devices, iOS, compliance policies. This is the one we created and updated. So I see my two devices, those are showing as compliant. So succeeded, compliant devices, non-compliant, 0, error 0. Yeah. Prevent jailbroken while you have a corporate access. So basically my both devices show compliant here. So let me go to the Android one. Devices, Android. So this one shows compliant as well. Let me check the compliance policy here. Alright, so after I waited about like 15 to 20 minutes and I see that the device is showing compliant now, my Android device. So at this point, we successfully completed step number 3 with the compliance policy for both iOS and iOS and Android, and both of our devices are showing as compliant here. Okay, so go to here, Android devices. Look at the compliance policy. So Android compliance policy is Defender for Android. Yes, very good. Let's get back to step number 3. So we completed the step number 3 and we set the risk levels. Okay. Step number 4. Step number 4 is the conditional access policies to block that exceeds your expected level. So let's work on the step number 4. Before we go to the step number 4, I like to add another step here, which is create and assign the app protection policy. So see, somehow, and I would just remove this step and just put it in a to-go because that's pretty much the same step here. Okay, so step number 4, we are working on the app protection policy, and then finally we will move on to the step number 5, the conditional access policy. So let's go to the app protection policy under apps here. Sorry, apps, and then app protection policies here. So it can be any app protection policy you can utilize. So for example, let's say this one, I have, let's create a new one. So iOS app protection policy with MDT, mobile threat defense. Mobile threat defense. I'll just put the mobile threat defense in the description. MDT for defender for endpoint. Okay, hit next, and then I'm gonna target it to both managed and unmanaged devices. So I will for both managed and unmanaged devices. Just like, so it makes more sense for other people to know what this policy is doing. And target to apps on all devices. Yes, and I'm gonna do all Microsoft apps here. Okay, and then the protection is just a regular protection policy. So I would just say, like backup org data, iTunes and iCloud. Let's say I blocked send org data. So I do have a policy set up, so I don't have to necessarily create a new one, but I'm just showing you here. So what exactly that protection policy is. So under access requirement, I'm going to bypass this data protection. I'm going to bypass this access requirement. This is where you want to mention. So under conditional launch and under settings, it's called max allowed device threat level. So you have to set the max allowed device threat level, and it's going to be secured, and it's going to be whatever the option you choose. You say like block data, wipe would be too much for the users. I'm gonna hit cancel because I don't want to send another app protection policy to my mobile application devices, but I do have some. So for example, let's go to the let's filter this thing. There's no filter. Okay, just a call. Okay, so iOS company owned devices, for example, right? And this one is assigned to all iOS devices. So I'm pretty sure let me add the defender for iOS devices as well here. Okay. I use a group as well. Let's do, oops, hit cancel, sorry. Okay, so I created an app protection policy here and added my groups here. Only thing which is different than the regular app protection policy is under conditional launch, and you have to set up this thing. Let me show you. Under conditional launch, you have set the max allowed device threat protection, and the max value is secured and blocked access. So I set that up because I have the MDT. I'm gonna set up for other one as well. I have this edge protection policy as well, so I'll just do the same thing for this one under conditional launch. I'll do for all the iOS policy. For Android. Secure, let me see this one. Yes, so this one is down. And check this one. Okay, so this one is not clear, so let me do this one as well. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm adding the MTD condition for my all iOS app protection policy. Do the same thing for Android. You see filter by deployed and filter by platform. So deployed only two, so manage and unmanage. So let's see, manage, conditional launch. This has more options, nice. So maximum allowed device threat level. So it says maximum allowed device threat level. So I can go with low. I don't know how secure would fit in here. So maximum should be low here and block access. Let's do the final one here. I have another Android one. Conditional launch. Alright, perfect. So we completed the step number 4, just create and assign application protection policy. I have created a separate video for application protection policy. It's available on my channel. And the last step is the conditional access policy, block devices that exceeds your expected risk level. So let's work on that, and then we'll see if we can test it out. Sorry, devices, conditional access policy. Create a new policy here, and I'll only assign it to the user group, which is Defender user group. Technically help 01, and it's just like, because sometimes this can be dangerous, so I'm gonna exclude my global admin and Intune admin just in case, you never know. So excluded the directory roles, and the cloud apps would be, let's say, like O365, Exchange Online, SharePoint Online. Yeah. So complete it here. Under conditions, say like client apps, select browser and mobile apps and the desktop clients, and that's pretty much it from this side. And under the grant control, I will set the required device to be marked as compliant. Required device marked as compliant. So basically it will block the access of the user if the device is not compliant. How would the device be marked as compliant? From step number 3. And step number 4 is just additional step, which is the app protection policy. And when the device is not compliant, then it's gonna jump to the step number 5, and the access will be blocked. I am checking one more thing here. So these are the user risk and the sign-in risk. So that's different. Device, platform, location, client apps, filter, that's okay. So when I create this and turn it on, MTD. Okay, perfect. So now we have completed all the steps. So we set up the integration, we onboarded the devices, we set up the compliance policies, we assigned the protection policies, created and assigned the protection policies, and then finally we enable the conditional access policies. So I have 3 devices, the 2 iPhones and the 1 Android for this testing purposes. I'm thinking how would I test it out, but let's just go to the monitoring here. So devices, monitor, and the policy compliance. Some devices that's not compliant, that's a Windows devices. Active. Okay. And it should show us the onboarding as well, but sometimes it takes time to replicate. It's only showing me 4 devices. I click on put and give me more details. Your device endpoint. So I'm under the security.microsoft.com, just checking my option how to test it. So when you go in here, security.microsoft.com, you go to the settings and click on endpoints. There's an option called onboarding under the device management. So since we are focused on iOS, there's no simulator available to test to generate a fake virus in my iOS device. So anyways, let's check if we have something in Android. So it looks like we do have. So to make sure the Android device has been properly onboarded, use an eCard test app from Google Play. You can also visit the phishing test page to verify if it's blocked, right? So smart test, so this is not blocked here. Let me see if I can go to that page. So smart screen test ratings to test ratings to dot net. So I was able to go to that test page, but let me check this browser, like manage browser. So smart screen test ratings to .NET. So I'm downloading the eCar app to make sure my antivirus is properly working. Let me share my Android screen here. So I did download this test app here, and I'll say start test. Okay, so now what I would do here is go to work as Defender, scan now. Okay, so I couldn't find a similarity to generate a fictitious virus, but what I did actually from one of my iPhones, I deleted the MTD app, which is the Defender for Endpoint, on purpose. And let me show you how does it look like after I delete it. So I deleted my mobile threat defense solution. Anytime when I launched a work-related app, it says like set up Microsoft Defender for Endpoint to gain access to your work or school data. So it's pretty cool. So that's another way to test it. I couldn't test from the other side, for example, like if I could generate a fake virus that the defender would catch that virus and report to Intune and the Defender for Endpoint Security Portal, but that didn't happen. But this is another way to test it, because I had the app protection policy and the conditional access on top of that app protection policy. So that's one of the ways you can test it. Let me launch the word here. So let me sign in. So demo user 54. Another app that is under the app protection policy is, I think, Edge browser. So let me type. I'm logging into my Edge browser. Okay, so same message. Set up the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. So in this case, either I can just go ahead and download it, or I have to wait for my next Intune policy refresh cycle, that the Intune policy refresh cycle will bring it down. So if I go back in here in company portal app, checking status, and if I take you to devices, iOS, the portal is not up to date right now, but something is happening on the device after I did. So let me see which app is trying to install. So then I hit install. Here it is. So it's Defender, because I just synced the device. So when I launch the Defender here, same thing except allow. Oops, allow. Okay, so now I have a Defender. So let me launch the Outlook. It worked. Let me launch the Edge browser. It worked. Perfect. So that was a good test today, and I hope this video is informative for you and you enjoyed my video. Let me know if I missed anything in the comment section. Thank you for watching.